Hey fam. God, this day has been so wild. I don't even want to get into the random drama of it. And really, like, if you're in a good vibration, it doesn't matter what random situations you find yourself in where you might be stranded or have some kind of time glitches in the day. If you're just feeling like on that blessed vibration, it could be, all kinds of mishaps and you still feel in flow. And so that's the kind of day I'm having. And it's after like a really full night. I kind of want to reflect on that because I was doing actually some of my sigil magic, and this is like symbols of intent that are drawn, statements of intent that are drawn into symbols, and then you charge the symbols to charge the magic behind the will or the intent. And like if you don't or do or whatever or wonder about magic, like the reason that they are so powerful is because it's intention, right? It's just like this intentional tuning of the neural pathways towards a focus on something that symbolizes what you're intending to manifest. So like I was actually finding this new method of charging sigils, which was like through dance and movement, like dancing the sigil essentially. And I found it really powerful. Like I was just kind of playing around with it because I like to do magic with my dance. I spent a lot of time doing like universal healing magic, like really sending a lot of support to the divine feminine and her grief, and like really support to the divine masculine and his kind of becoming and stepping into like sovereignty energetics to really be a steward on this planet for the good work. And I just started thinking about and using it more for intentional purposes. And then again, like primarily my intuitive magic was connected to source, connected to being in alignment with my divine assignment, and being protected and being at peace and being more consistent with the spiritual routines that would cultivate that. And as all of those things have slotted into place for me after years and years of practice, like my magic has gotten more and more refined. And I also have like massive amount of like power to direct it wherever I please. And so obviously like it comes down to some of the traditional ones. I have a purpose, it's resonance tunes. I will be giving much more detailed updates, I promise. And making sure that baby is protected and the best people are coming towards it, which, my God, if you think about the people I met this week that I am going to be collabing with, like, on the consistent flow, and that was clearly a major manifestation. Like, I also manifested, obviously it's always about the money, yes, so I did some abundance manifestations, especially, again, around investors to support Resonance pitch, and it's becoming, and I have a pitch this week. I'm connecting hopefully to 2 other collectives internationally that can support me financially in building this dream, which again, I promise I'll share soon. I'm going to stop not sharing about this in detail online soon, not yet. And then partnership, it's like it's a classic one. We want connection, and the crew I'm with, like, they really have a similar belief system as me, like even how they talk about the framework. And it's like when you're in sovereignty energy, when you're like in your queen energy, like it helps to have a king and to like build purpose collaboratively. So like clearly that is like the basics of the magical design. But again, all in divine aligned timeline and all that jazz, trusting, presencing, being open to receiving all this framework. So I was just dancing all of the sigils. Those are the kind of the 3 main ones. We've been doing so much intention work that we've already been asked to kind of pull them in ceremony. I've been drawing them on my body to just presence in what has already been kind of intentional practice for me. And then of course, like I'm literally on the dance floor and somebody manifests who I've already connected with a few times. And we just had such real magical conversation and connection. And that was really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about it because like there's like a real trauma in the divine feminine around sexuality, because the divine masculine is like over like corrupted connection, like pure soul connection, purpose, like shared sovereignty into like corrupted sexuality, not sacred sexuality. And this has been such a wounding for the feminine. I think it's especially a wounding for people who manifest it with a lot of divine feminine and divine feminine sexual energy, and especially those who are conduits for the collective, especially those who are empaths and pick up on a lot, not to mention XYZ, all kinds of trauma. So it's having this really, really beautiful conversation as I was partying with this guy. And meanwhile, I had actually invited somebody on this trip, and they were like kind of really chatty. They weren't part of the vibe, my vibin' tribe. They were just like on the same land project and visiting and really wanted to flow. And I could feel that they had that full moon energetics. They really wanted to be about this like free flow ecstatic wander mode that I do. And in fact, they do like flow. Oh, I really want to weave almost everyone I talk to now, I want to weave into resonance tunes. They do this like visualization of the flow state that they map. And yet you could see that they were like struggling with flow. Like they were like, oh, I don't have my phone. I'm like, you'll be fine. And they were like, how do I find you? I'm like, I will find you. We'll find each other. You'll be fine. You know, and a lot of that kind of presencing of a little bit of a tiny bit more anxious energy, a tiny bit more wanting reassurance. And I'm really stepping out of that stewardship role as an interpersonal to rando associates, because I did that all my life and I'm just not interested. It's not where my joy is sparked anymore. It's really in curating this tool called Resonance Tunes that does it for me. So then like on the way back, like he started in on something, and the statement he dropped was a little bit unconscious and it triggered me. And I got a little angry, like not overly, because I really do not let myself express that. I think it's a very dangerous and harmful emotion. And I'm really about the tending of human hearts. That is my, like one of my core beliefs and drives. So just a little bit of calling his attention to the over-sexualization of women as a narrative that's held in the collective conscious of the masculine, to which we are all responsible. I am responsible to speak out against it by embodying my dark feminine and saying that's not okay. And as a masculine, and he was a gentle soul, you know, he was a sweet soul, and there was an ability for him to take responsibility for the ways he could present that were conscious. And it was such an incredibly beautiful conversation that we had after that. And he shared with me he went through a very difficult heartbreak recently. And the reason for it is because the woman was so deeply traumatized sexually that any sexual impulsive energy from him triggered her, even if he was gentling the entire experience as much as he possibly could. And in fact, she had gone into all of this deep therapeutic work, understanding that she needed to do her work. And so we really shared on it, and we cried about this wound in the feminine of like really not being in touch with their sexual power, because it's been so corrupted and so connected to dark, like diseased, demonic, masculine, like infiltration in the masculine collective. And like really honestly, if you're tracking the astrology, like I had one of these conversations as well with one of my beloveds in this vibe tribe I'm a part of now. We were talking about like, well, it really, you can see from the cosmic timeline of the constellations of the astrology that the dark feminine has been unlocked. We went through relationship portals with the eclipses. Everyone I spoke to just about had some relationship drama. And with Chiron and all these aspects, it was connected to childhood wounding. So everybody was having to deal with all their childhood wounding. There are several like trains, you know, I keep describing it as like the train has stopped, you know, beep, beep, join at the train station. And it's like several opportunities to join the train toward consciousness. I jumped on the first fucking call. That's just my vibe. And I noticed some people kind of lagging, but they got there. And I'm guessing there's opportunities for more. I'm always like, no, I'm not missing that train to evolution and ascension, growth and like crystallization of being. So like, and then the way that the masculine has really been highlighted has been like clearly following the feminine in its process. So I feel like there's a almost like a key code, timed like gears unlocking of the divine masculine nature in so many men. And it's like, you know, because we're all resonant beings, we send out a frequency and we completely alter everything around us as a result. like there's a timeline for each masculine to unlock to this deeper truth of conscious, coherent, resonant frequency of knowing their self, knowing their worth, knowing their job, and stewarding like divinity into being, both in themselves and in how they hold the feminine in this lifetime. So like I really trust that like the divine has their hand in all things, and I just wanted to send this message, fam, and just give a little bit of a taste of what it looks like when you're with hyper resonant beings. Like I know I am one, and to have been surrounded by ones that are so about that mission, you know, and like living it like with style, like with personality, like with individual character, but in the sacred, grounded in the sacred, consistent in the practice, like so freaking just full focus mode on this. It's really powerful for tuning the resonance.